What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. I want to give a massive shout out to all of you, first of all, for the crazy support on the channel. We did, of course, reach 1,500 subscribers. The videos are doing really, really well. I'm having a lot of fun making them, and I really enjoy reading all of your comments. And speaking of comments, I want to give a massive shout out to Manu Mananda. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but he left his comment on the last Premier League predictions video, and he did a little bit better than I did last week. Last week was probably one of my worst Premier League prediction weeks because there were a few upsets, a few that I just got completely wrong. So shout out to you, man. If you guys want to be featured in the next Premier League predictions video, then be sure to comment your 10 predictions for the week 10 games down in the comments below. Maybe go for some rogue predictions. I'd like to see that, because obviously there is no week in the Premier League where every game goes exactly as expected. So if you're just going to go for the basic sort of predictions that I'll probably end up going for in this video, minus a couple, then you're probably going to get a few wrong. So don't be afraid to push the boat out. You know, accuracy of your comment does not affect the chance of you being in the next video. So maybe go for something a little bit risky, and I'd be excited to read it and see what you guys can correctly predict. Now, speaking of the predictions, of course, we're going to move on to my predictions from last week and how they actually turned out. So kicking it off, we had Chelsea versus Manchester United. Now, at half-time, Chelsea were 1-0 up, and it was looking like my prediction was going to ring true, which was 2-0 to Chelsea. But Man United turned it up, got 2-1 in the lead, and then conceded in the last couple of minutes to make it a Desmond 2-2. So, you know, a very interesting game. I'm sure that would have been a lot of fun to actually watch. I didn't watch the actual game. I was busy. I think I was shopping at the time, which is, you know, cool. The next prediction, I had West Ham 1 and Tottenham 1. Tottenham actually managed to keep a clean sheet again, as they've been doing quite well recently, and just scoring the one goal to make it 1-0. So not too bad there. The next game, Newcastle versus Brighton. I tried to give Newcastle the benefit of the doubt. At home, they should have won the game. Brighton have a terrible away record, and it's their first away win for, I think, 18 games in the league, which is about a year, I think, and they managed to get the 1-0 win, so just the reverse result there. But things don't really get too much better for my predictions as we go on. I predicted Bournemouth to kind of thump Southampton 3-1, a very end-to-end game, a lot of action, you know, maybe a penalty here and there, and it was just quite a subdued 0-0. So not a lot went down there. To be honest, it's a kind of a decent result for both sides. If Bournemouth aren't going to get the win, they need to at least get the draw against teams like Southampton at home. They should win, but they managed to get the draw. And then next we had Cardiff versus Fulham. I just couldn't see Cardiff winning. I thought Fulham, with their attack, would be able to do more damage to Cardiff than Cardiff could do to them. I thought Fulham would score 2 goals, and they did. But as they've shown us for the whole season, their defence is atrocious, and they conceded 4, making it 4-2 to Cardiff, which was a crazy result. The next game, I predicted Wolves 2, Watford 1. I said in my video that I knew Watford would score despite being away. I didn't, however, think Wolves would get 0 and Watford would score 2. So it was actually 2-0 despite my 2-1 to Wolves prediction. Man City versus Burnley. I predicted a 3-0 City win. It's kind of like the standard. The team is better. I'm going to predict this prediction. And Man City turned it up. I think it was 1-0 maybe at halftime. I might be making it up. And then they won 5-0, which, you know, is pretty crazy. Now, Liverpool, they did manage to win the game. I predicted them to win 3-1. They only won 1-0. They're hitting a little bit of a blip. They need to find their shooting boots again to get some goals, especially with Champions League coming up. By the time you watch this video, their game against Red Star Belgrade would have already happened. But they only won 1-0. Still, though, they've got to win the games. It was away, and obviously Huddersfield can cause an upset, drawing obviously 0-0 with Man City last season, despite City's insane record. So, you know, it's a good win that they needed to get. The next game, Everton Crystal Palace. I said in the video that it would be 2-1, but it wouldn't surprise me if Everton won 2-0. They did actually win 2-0 thanks to 2 late goals back-to-back. And I think Jordan Pickford also saved a penalty with his foot. He dived one way and then kicked it from the middle of the net. So had that penalty gone in, I'm sure the game would have been entirely different. Maybe Palace would have ramped it up a bit and maybe got a second goal. Maybe it would have been a 1-1 draw. You never know. And then the final game, I said in the video, Arsenal 2, Leicester 0. And it actually ended 3-1. But in a video that I actually recorded for my main gaming channel, I made another prediction. And I'll play that clip here. So yeah, that's why Arsenal draw at half-time and then win at full-time.
Yeah, literally.
They bring on the big guns. If you've won 1 at half-time, 3-1 at full-time. I actually said it would be 3-1 at full-time, and I said it would be 1-1 at half-time, and it was exactly that. So, obviously, my predictions for this video are my, initial thoughts, but quite a few of them, I do think on them again and possibly change my prediction. Like that one, I just happened to be recording another video, so I could actually get it on record, and it turned out to be right. And my logic was that they start off a bit slow, a bit scrappy, Arsenal, and then in the second half they bring on the subs and turn it up a bit, and I was right with the tactics, I was right with the half-time, full-time score, so a pretty good call from me there. Okay, so that's probably the longest I've spent on my previous week's predictions, but there was a lot to talk about because a lot of things went a bit wrong, but hopefully we can get back into our predicting ways. For week 10, coming up at the beginning, we have Brighton hosting Wolves. Now, Glenn Murray did suffer a pretty bad head injury in his last game, but I think he should be okay to play this game from what I've seen. However, I do think Wolves are just going to edge the win 2-1. This wouldn't surprise me if it was a draw, and I know Wolves lost to Watford, but I think that was just a hiccup for them. I think they are stronger than Brighton, and although Brighton are at home, and they will definitely put up a good fight, it's going to be a tight game, maybe quite a low-scoring one, but I'm still going for 2-1 to Wolves. And now next, we have Fulham against Bournemouth. Fulham right in there with the relegation battle, now below Cardiff on goal difference in the relegation zone, and Bournemouth are doing pretty well. Although they didn't score against Southampton, they didn't actually concede, which, you know, is a positive. And with Fulham's defence, I can't see them really getting anything out of this game. Yes, they've got attackers. They might grab one here and there. They might get a point out of it, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 away win to Bournemouth. Now, coming up, we have Liverpool against Cardiff at Anfield. I think that's a crucial point that we need to make. If it was at Cardiff, maybe I would have gone for a 2-1, something like that to Liverpool, because Liverpool, like I said, aren't scoring that many goals. They might score 8 goals against Red Star Belgrade. I don't know yet, but I'm going to go with a 3-0 win to Liverpool here. I think their defence is getting stronger, and they are very good at home, and Cardiff, they're just not going to be up to it. So if Liverpool can just get maybe 1 or 2 goals in the first half, it should be an easy 3-0 to them. The next game, Watford versus Huddersfield. I don't know if I'm giving Huddersfield a little bit too much credit here, but I've got Watford to win this one 2-1. I think Huddersfield will make things difficult for Watford, because although Watford have got off to a flying start and then they beat Wolves, who are also off to a flyer, they are a mid-table team, and I think Huddersfield, they've got a bit of experience behind them, and like I said with the Man City 0-0 draw last season, they can grind out results, so I think they're going to make it difficult, but I think Watford at home should get the win. The next game, one of my more bold predictions, Leicester against West Ham. Now, I watched the Arsenal-Leicester game, and for the first 35 minutes, Leicester were all over Arsenal. Whether that was Arsenal being bad or Leicester being good, I think it was a mixture of both. And then as soon as Leicester scored, Arsenal turned it up and actually just completely reversed the game around. But for this prediction, I'm going to go with Leicester 3, West Ham 1. Now, West Ham, they're a tricky team to call. They could win this game, but I think Leicester at home, taking the positives from the first half of the Arsenal game, trying to play it all the way through, maybe taking more chances, because there were chances they didn't take in that Arsenal game. They could have gone 2-0 up, they could have gone 2-1 up, they could have had a penalty. All these little things could have changed the outcome of that game, and I think if Leicester can get on the front foot very early on, like they did against Arsenal at the Emirates, at their own stadium, I think they're going to do a good job here, and that's why I'm going for quite a ballsy 3-1 Leicester prediction. The next game, we have Burnley against Chelsea, and I'm keeping it quite subdued. It's at Burnley. Burnley tend to be fairly decent in defence, especially, you know, at their home ground. I'm going to go with a low-scoring 2-0 win to Chelsea. I think Chelsea will get the job done. It might be a bit scrappy, a bit ugly, maybe a Morata tap-in from 6 yards out, that sort of thing. And I think Eden Hazard is going to control the game, but I don't think he's going to explode in this fixture. Now, the next game, Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. There may be a little bit of bias here, I'm not sure, but honestly, if Arsenal can sort out their defence at the beginning, I see them winning this game 3-0. So that's why I'm going with Arsenal 3, Crystal Palace 0. I'm not even sure if I said who was playing, but obviously Crystal Palace, they played Everton. Even with Wilfried Zaha, they didn't get a goal. They even had a penalty. They missed that. It's not looking great for Palace, and it seems the Zaha effect, it seems teams are starting to figure him out, starting to know how to deal with him, and he's not progressing as people thought he would. He started off very well, and now he's kind of just, he's a good player, but he's not outstanding at the moment. And I've said the past few weeks in videos that Arsenal will concede a goal here and there. You know, the defense is a bit scrappy, but I'm gonna go for them to turn it up, keep their defense a little bit tighter, and win this one 3-0. I might be wrong, but we're going with 3-0. The final game, Manchester United versus Everton. This was a very tough one to pick. I wanted to pick a Manchester United win, but I'm not going to. The Juventus game last night at the time recording, was difficult for Manchester United. They lost 1-0, which, to be honest, means Juventus didn't do that great. They weren't that clinical in the second half. It could have been 2 or 3-0. Man United had very few chances. They did have the one Pogba attempt that hit the post and then hit Chesney in the face. That could have easily been a 1-1 game as well. So, you know, United, you never know what you're going to get. It's going to be a mixed bag. I think United will actually go 1-0 up in this game, and then Everton are going to claw one back maybe in the second half, maybe a fast break, counter-attack sort of thing. You know, I could see that happening. If I had to pick a winner, I'd pick Manchester United at Old Trafford, obviously. But I think this is going to be another draw, and it's going to leave Mourinho not looking that great. But because they're not going to lose, in my opinion, I think he'll, you know, just sort of stay in his job for now, you know, just sort of stay under the radar. So that is basically everything for my week 10 of Premier League predictions. Okay, so I don't even know how this actually happened, but while recording, I missed out 2 matches, but don't worry, they will still be here in this video. Coming up first, we've got Southampton against Newcastle at home. I think this is a perfect game for Southampton to actually finally win. Newcastle are really struggling. I think it was Newcastle's chance last week to beat Brighton. I think it's the same this week for Southampton to beat Newcastle, so I'm giving Southampton the 2-1 win over Newcastle, leaving Newcastle at the bottom of the table. And the next game, I can't believe I missed this one out. I hadn't actually written this one down in my notepad, so that's why I missed it, because this is actually a Monday night game. Tottenham versus Manchester City. Now, Man City are doing very, very well. They did well in the Champions League. They beat Shakhtar Donetsk 3-0. And Tottenham, at the time of recording, are still yet to play PSV Eindhoven. I've got Tottenham to win that game 2-1, but I still think Manchester City, even at Tottenham's home ground, I guess you could call it, will be too strong for Tottenham. So I'm going with a 3-1 win to Manchester City. So yeah, sorry about that. It shouldn't happen again, but if it does, hopefully I'll put a little voiceover in like this. And now I'm just gonna let you watch the rest of the video, because I've got a couple things I guess I wanted to say while I was recording. So yeah, sorry about that again. Don't worry, I didn't forget it. So before you write all your comments, it's here. Enjoy the rest of the video. And I have also I've sort of written down all of my uploads for the rest of the year, for the full 90, based on the dates of upload and when I should record them and stuff like that. And there's some good stuff, you know. So for the rest of 2018, we've got week 11 coming up next week to week 21 of Premier League predictions. We've got Champions League week 4, 5, and 6 predictions. We've got Nations League match day 5 and 6 predictions as well, and maybe a couple of other uploads thrown in there too. And that's all on this channel for 2018, the next couple of months. So if you do not want to miss that, then be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to be told when I upload a new video, because if you like football, you're going to want to watch every single one of these uploads. Be sure to comment down below, get involved with your predictions, and you could be featured in one of the next Premier League predictions videos. So thank you all very much for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy, share it with your friends. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.